Promote the frequency of vibration. Xiefeng. February 2, 2012. Everything visible, including human body, is an aggregate of structure and energy, while all images are made up of particles revolving at high velocity. All differences in physical forms are caused by the vibration frequencies of the particles that constitute these physical forms. The difference in vibration frequency leads to the difference in the form of an object. The life in the universe exists in different levels. The higher the frequency of vibration, the higher the order of life. The lower the frequency of vibration, the lower the order of life. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more indefinite the form. The lower the frequency of vibration, the more definite the form. Take, for example, trees, animals, mankind, celestial beings, and God. Trees have a lower frequency of vibration than animals. Thus, animals are superior to plants. Humankind has a higher frequency of vibration. Thus, man is superior to animals. Celestial beings have a higher frequency of vibration than man. Thus, celestial beings are superior to people. God has a higher frequency of vibration than celestial beings. Thus, God is more advanced than celestial beings. Why cannot we see God with our naked eyes? Because God has an extremely high frequency of vibration. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more indefinite the form. Therefore, we cannot see God. This is something analogous to the vibrations of wings of dragonflies and bees. When dragonflies and bees stay motionless on petals or twigs, their wings have a very low frequency of vibration, so we can see their wings most clearly. But when they are in flight, we can only discern their wings most faintly, and when they are flying at a high speed, we can hardly see their wings. The slower the wings flap, the more clearly visible they are. The faster the wings move, the more invisible they are. Only by promoting the frequency of vibration can man achieve the celestial being. How to boost man's frequency of vibration? We often say someone is too stupid or too slow in reaction. The reason why he is too stupid or too slow in reaction is that he has too low a frequency of vibration. People refuse to be convinced until they are faced with grim reality, or do not turn to a new leaf until it is too late, simply because the vibration frequency of their life is too slow. In life, some people are dull, stupid, obdurate, rigid, and stubborn because they have a very low frequency of vibration. Some people are flexible, intelligent, agile, and efficient because they have a very high frequency of vibration. The sense of happiness, pleasure, and delight a person feels is related to the vibration frequency of his life. The higher the frequency of vibration, the more plentiful and wonderful the feeling of happiness and pleasure. The lower the frequency of vibration, the less and more retardant the feeling of happiness and pleasure. This is analogous to the sexual love between the man and woman, where the faster the penis twitches inside the vagina, the more easily the pleasure and orgasm can be felt, and the slower the twitches, the more difficult the pleasure and orgasm can be felt. The speed of the twitches is the frequency of vibration. To judge whether the vibration frequency of a person's life is high or low, we can simply get to know the state he is in. If he is always pleasant, happy, joyful, and blessed, then he has a very high frequency of vibration. If he is always distressed, troubled, sad, worried, anxious, puzzled, and frightened, then he has a very low frequency of vibration. The effective means to boost the frequency of vibration include flexible, harmonious, gentle, active, optimistic, tolerant, understanding, caring, respectful, happy, peaceful, calm, and grateful. A person's vibration frequency will not increase but will fall if he is impassive, numb, untrustworthy, remorseful, fearful, anxious, selfish, greedy, jealous, complaining, comparison-minded, furious, resentful, indignant, and arrogant. In one word, the less weed there is in the garden of soul, the higher the frequency of vibration. The more weed there is in the garden of soul, the slower the frequency of vibration. The poorer the power of comprehension, the slower the promotion of vibration frequency. To be aware, One must be sensitive in feeling and agile in response. One must be able to understand the wordless heavenly book, and one must also comprehend and practice in his daily life the teachings of God, Buddha, celestial beings, and saints. The information age is the optimum time for us to boost our frequency of vibration, as well as the good opportunity for us to perfect ourselves. We should be quick and agile in response and action. Now it is the final moment for this phase of humankind. Irresolution and indecision at such a critical juncture will only cause you to be eliminated. Conventional thinking, traditional way of life, and traditional methods of self-refinery will not work. We must quickly boost the frequency of vibration and act promptly. The only one best way to achieve all this is to read as quickly as possible the last course for this phase of mankind and make it to the last flight.
成仙三部曲
23 Steps to Become a Celestial Being. The lecture record from Xiefeng. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=p0v8 mta6l-0. Translated by Zhengjue and edited by Care. 3 steps are needed to become a celestial being, and the ultimate goal of all Chanyuan celestials is to become super celestial beings and reach the celestial islands continent. This requires a triple jump, from the mortal world to the 1,000-year world, then to the 10,000-year world, and finally to the celestial islands continent. We do not become other forms of mortal life, but rather celestial beings, by following these 3 steps. The first step is to abandon trouble, pain, sorrow, worry, and fear, and live happy, joyous, free, and blessed lives. This is the standard of celestial beings. Upon reaching it, one will have become a celestial being, exactly as those in the 1,000-year world. Annoyance, pain, and fear come from the imperfection of consciousness, the weeds of one's soul garden. The second step requires that one's mind must not abide in form. It must follow predestined relationships, be carefree, must follow its destiny, and must maintain a condition of pleasure. This is for the second level, the celestial of the 10,000-year world. We all still have many things in our hearts which come from worldly social conditioning and will be in conflict with the love that is found in Life Genuine. To follow predestined relationships and be carefree is to expand one's internal nature as much as possible, to remain free in all situations, and to maintain a condition of pleasure, not joy. However, a long journey still remains ahead. The third step is one in which the soul is not constrained by emotions. Everything is nature, they live in nature, they are flexible, accommodating, and agile, and they possess 64 magical powers. The change is infinite, and they are always in a blissful state. This is the super celestial being. The universe is the dance of nature, and each of our performances every day is an expression of our nature and our expanding physical structure. So everything lies within nature, and everything is nature. It is flexible and tactful, never in conflict with anyone, has no dissatisfaction, has very high sensitivity, and any stimulation by any bit of information produces an instantaneous response. There are not any magical powers after one has passed beyond the first 2 steps. Those who reach this realm can self-refine. Those have endless changes and always maintain a condition of pleasure. This is the supreme realm of the celestial being. These 3 steps are necessary to become a super celestial being, and they are really very simple. Have you become a celestial being? Theoretically, long speeches and classical or profound lectures are quite simple to give, but they do not produce their desired results easily. For example, it is not easy to get rid of troubles, and it is not easy to be happy, joyous, free, and blessed at all times. But in our home, you will get there soon. If you still have troubles, pains, sorrow, worries, and fears, then you are not a celestial. If something troubles your mind, or if your mind abides in form, then you are not a celestial. If you have desire, pursuit, and persistence in your mind, then you are not a celestial. If you still have mind, you cannot act by following nature without any magical powers, and you cannot rid yourself of physical and temporal constraints, then you are not a celestial. If you are always happy, then you are not a mortal, but a celestial. If you are always pleasant, then you are not a mortal, but a celestial. If you always feel bliss, then you are not a mortal, but a celestial. Becoming a celestial or Buddha is simple, but can you do it? Our goal is to become a celestial. It's simple in theory, but it's hard to do. The theory is clear, and the roadmap is clear. As long as you do like this, the facts will tell you that you can undoubtedly become a celestial being.
第九奥秘修仙篇之13
The Ninth Mystery. Xiefeng. June 9th, 2006. There have been some mysteries in human history, such as the sudden disappearance of the Maya collectives. What causes the sudden disappearance of the vast majority of the Maya? Anthropologists, historians, archaeologists, and scientists can't explain it. Now, let me show you how the Mayans have become immortals collectively. You will ask, is that possible? Let me tell you, this is the truth. Whoever masters this secret can become immortal. There is a historical site in South America where people have found some recorded mysteries, commonly known as Peruvian manuscripts. Now I will briefly translate some of the ninth mystery to you for your reference and reflection. When primitive humans came along, we continued this evolution unconsciously by conquering others and gaining energy and moving forward a little bit, and then being conquered ourselves by someone else and losing our energy. This physical conflict continued until we invented democracy, a system that didn't end the conflict but shifted it from a physical to a mental level. We are bringing this whole process into consciousness. We can see that all of human history has prepared us to achieve conscious evolution. Now, we can increase our energy and experience the coincidences consciously. This carries evolution onward at a faster pace, lifting our vibrations even higher. Our destiny is to continue to increase our energy level. And as our energy level increase, the level of vibration in the atoms of our bodies increase. It means that we are getting lighter, more purely spiritual. As we humans continue to increase our vibration, an amazing thing will begin to happen. Whole group of people, once they reach a certain level, will suddenly become invisible to those who are still vibrating at a lower level. It will appear to the people on this lower level that the others just disappeared, but the group themselves will feel as though they are still right here, only they will feel lighter. When humans begin to raise their vibrations to a level where others cannot see them, it will signal that we are crossing the barrier between this life and the other world from which we came and to which we go after death. This conscious crossing over is the path shown by the Christ. He opened up to the energy until he was so light that he could walk on water. He transcended death right here on earth and was the first to cross over, to expand the physical world into the spiritual. His life demonstrated how to do this, and if we connect with the same source, we can head the same way, step by step. At some point, everyone will vibrate highly enough so that we can walk into heaven in our same form. The more beauty we can see, the more we evolve. The more we evolve, the higher we vibrate. The ninth insight shows us that, ultimately, our increased perception and vibration will open us up to a heaven that is already before us. We just can't see it yet. Well, this is all for my translation. Hope that the information I bring will strengthen your will and confidence for becoming immortal, and hope that everyone can rely on yourself, explore, and find your own way.
心无所住便是仙
You are a celestial being when your mind abides nowhere. Xiefeng. August 28th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kair. Throughout the 20 parallel worlds of 36-dimensional space, the most unrestrained lives are those of celestial beings. They are entirely free from worry, are unrestrained and free, enjoy life wherever they are and whatever they are doing, follow what is predestined, are open, leave things to fate, and are unfettered. The field of activity is vast with brilliant prospects where much can be accomplished. They fill love in mountains and rivers, spread affection everywhere, take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relationships, act in accordance with their natures, take advantage of opportunities as they arise, never do anything yet allow all things happen through them, have no stubbornness, no obstructions, no stagnation, and are unrestrained and elegant. How can mortals become celestials? The three basic methods are 1. Repay your debts, end your worldly ties, and separate yourself from the secular world. 2. Create ties with celestials and accumulate merits and virtues. 3. Transform human affection into celestial affection, human nature into celestial nature, and the human world into the celestial world. After this basic work is done, and as long as you abide your mind nowhere, then you will be a celestial. How do you abide your mind nowhere? Shakyamuni Buddha teaches us, our minds should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, but actually abide nowhere. This means that our eyes should not focus on things that we can see, that we should not be attached to anything that our sense organs perceive, and that we should not be fascinated by dharma but should keep an empty mind till nothing exists. This explanation is still a bit vague. Specifically, in your heart, there should be no relative, no enemy, no country, no ethnicity, no money, no goal, no religion, no political party, no family, no fame, no wealth or position, no health or longevity, no delicacy, no people involved with you, no laws or regulations, no precepts, no Buddha, no celestials, no heaven, no hell, no Taoist or other temples, no self-refinement, no self-improvement, no success, no failure, nothing to do, and no magical power or Taoist magical arts. Having nothing in or on your mind is abiding your mind nowhere. Can you do it? Of course. This is the real life of the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Islands continent. Can people in reality do it? Of course. Look at many of our Chanyuan celestials. They have basically succeeded. How does one do it? It can be done by listening to the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Immortal Laozi, Master Bodhidharma, and Deiform Buddha. The main contents are the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Diamond Sutra, Heart Sutra, Tao Te Ching, Dharma Patriarch's Bloodline Theory, and both my Chanyuan Corpus and Siefeng Corpus. If you understand and follow these, then you will abide your mind nowhere. If you cannot do them this way, then I can marry you. There are large numbers of chicken soup for the soul articles on the web, all of which are elusive thinking. If you do not believe me, then you can read the articles of these big gods, big Buddhas, big celestials, and great masters of the web every day and spend a bunch of money and your entire lifetime studying their magical arts. Then, when you are very old and looking back from your deathbed, you will find that you understand and have nothing but that all you have done was to keep spinning around in one spot. No matter how you spin around, you cannot elude the cave of the silken web. At this degenerating time, people from all walks of life look for their descendants. There are gods, Buddhas, celestials, demons, devils, and monsters among them. Any carelessness might drop you into a trap, and the measures and methods of demons, devils, and monsters are more attractive than the others. You must always keep the sacred lamp in your heart burning. Do you not believe me? Just look. Where there is hustling and bustling, disasters will gather. Where there are more disciples, the places will be more problematic. Where it is mysterious and spooky, demons, devils, and monsters will be making waves. Sneaky places are where ghosts and monsters abound, and the places where people practice magical arts are where paranoid people possessed by devils feel good but lose their natures. Do you not believe me? Look back to see if what I have said has been true over the last decade. You can go straight to the source, the greatest creator, and be a celestial. How do you become a celestial? Abide your mind nowhere.
环境造就仙佛。
The environment helps to create celestial beings and Buddhas. Siefeng. August 16, 2017. Celestials and Buddhas are those with an advanced state of existence of life, and this can be achieved by people through hard work. To become a celestial and Buddha, the environment is very important. It can be said that the environment that you live in helps you to become a celestial being and Buddha. This environment refers to both the spiritual environment and living environment. If you stay in a suitable spiritual environment and living environment for a sufficient period of time, you will inevitably become a celestial and a Buddha. I've talked a lot about the spiritual environment. The core is the construction of the soul garden. When a person's soul garden is built beautifully, he will have the right spiritual environment for achieving the state of a celestial and Buddha. This article will mainly talk about the living environment. Heroes emerge in troubled times. The times produce their heroes. Heroes come out of troubled times, and troubled times are the living environment that creates heroes. Marshal Zhukov of the Soviet Union, General Montgomery of the United Kingdom, General Eisenhower of the United States, Five-Star General Marshal of the United States, Marshal Admiral Yamamoto of Japan, Five-Star General Nimitz of the United States, Marshal Manstein of Germany, Marshal Kesselring of Germany. These heroes were born in the Second World War. If there was no Second World War, it is without doubt that there would be no such heroes. They would surely be submerged in the complicated mortal life and remain mortal. Shaanxi people love vinegar, Cantonese love to eat sweets, Hunan people love to eat hot peppers, and Sichuan people love to eat spicy food. This is all caused by their environment, not by people who have this interest. People who do not like vinegar will love vinegar when they live in Aksu, Xinjiang for a period of time. Shaanxi people who love vinegar will no longer be fond of vinegar when they stay in Canada for a period of time. People's high blood pressure will disappear after staying in Vanuatu for a period of time. If people with rheumatoid arthritis go to stay in the desert for a period of time, their arthritis will automatically disappear, and for those with asthma, if they go to Harare, Zimbabwe for a period of time, their asthma will be greatly reduced, etc. This shows the role and influence of the environment on people. For people who wish to become a celestial and Buddha, it is impossible for them to succeed if the environment is not suitable. It is impossible for people living in married families to become celestials and Buddhas because the family environment does not possess the environmental conditions needed to become a celestial and Buddha. The American inventor Edison once sat on an egg and wanted to hatch a chicken. What was the result? It was impossible because this practice does not meet the conditions for hatching chicks. Try transplanting Yunnan's plants to the northeast. The plants won't live there because the environment is not suitable for them. Marriage and family are where laymen and mortals are born, not where celestials and Buddhas are born. Just like a garbage dump is where mosquitoes and flies are born, not where bees are born. Therefore, for those who live in a marriage with family, stop dreaming of becoming a celestial being and Buddha. If you can become a celestial or Buddha, a donkey can fly a plane. To people who start companies and enterprises as bosses, officials in governmental agencies, and those who have a lot of wealth, you can stop thinking about becoming a celestial and Buddha because your living environment does not possess the conditions to become a celestial and Buddha at all. Every day, you have a lot of annoying things to worry about. Do you still have the state of mind to become a celestial or Buddha? It is only thanks to your good luck if you do not result in cultivating yourself into a devil. So, what kind of environment is the environment in which a celestial and Buddha is born? Answer: 1. Having no worry of food, clothing, housing, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death. 2. No stress, no restraint, no worry, no anxiety, no harassment, no bothering, no responsibility, no obligation. 3. With a beautiful environment and good weather. 4. Can act in accordance with one's nature without barriers or shackles. 5. Have time for relaxation, have playmates and beautiful scenery. 6. No risk, no crisis, but quiet without noise around. 7. No human relationships. Courtesy calls for reciprocity. 8. No idol worship, administrative orders, and control. Most famous scenic places are occupied by temples in this world. Now you can imagine why the monasteries and Taoist temples are built in scenic places with the best feng shui and which are away from the crowds. The monasteries are places for cultivating Buddhism, and Taoist temples are places for cultivating celestial beings. The reason why the leaders of the cultivators have been doing this is to have a living environment in which one can cultivate into a celestial being and Buddha. Without a good environment, one cannot cultivate into a celestial being and Buddha. It is said that the core of truth is in one sentence, while falsehoods are spread by millions of books. Although this is a bit exaggerated, it is not unreasonable. I have been beating around the bush for more than 10 years and have written more than 3,000 articles with 10 million words. Now I will make it simple. That is, if you find an environment for the cultivation of celestial beings and Buddhas and live in an environment suitable for the birth of celestial beings and Buddhas for a sufficient period of time, you will surely become a celestial being or Buddha. The spiritual environment must be created by oneself, and the living environment must be created collectively.
最新科学成果证明了天仙的存在。
The latest scientific study proves the existence of celestial beings. Xiefeng. August 2nd, 2017. New Oasis for Life August 2nd News. On July 20th, Yang Zhening's disciple Zhang Shoxing and his team published a paper in the journal Science, confirming the first discovery of chiral Majorana fermions and named them angel particles, which ended a whole 80 years of the laborious pursuit of this particle in physics. Zhang Shoxing. A particle is equal to its own antiparticle, and translated into a mathematical formula, it is equivalent to 1 is equal to -1. We then move -1 to the left, which means that 2 is equal to 0. When I was exploring space, I discovered the Celestial Islands continent. The people living on the Celestial Islands continent are celestial beings. When I introduced the features of celestial beings, I told you that celestial beings are a form of self-harmony. The so-called self-harmony is the combination of yin and yang, or it can be said that the celestial beings have both male and female characteristics. They are androgynous, and this is just like a Taiji diagram. Why is there such a life phenomenon? This involves the Elysium world in Buddhism. Buddha Shakyamuni wanted to lead people to the Elysium world. So, what is Elysium, and what is the Elysium world? The so-called Elysium means being in extreme happiness, a bit like men and women having sex and reaching orgasm and being in a state of orgasm forever. Elysium world is the time and space where life of an eternal state of bliss lives. The Celestial Islands continent is part of the Elysium world. Then how can a life reach the state of eternal bliss? The answer is, only by self-harmony. Self-harmony is the kingdom of freedom. Any life that cannot reach the state of self-harmony is not free because you must exchange energy with the surrounding world. Once a life needs external factors to survive, then this life cannot be free. For example, people need 64 external factors to survive. Without any one of the 64 factors, people cannot survive and continue to exist. When I introduced the self-harmony phenomenon of the celestial being, most people thought it was impossible and thought it was made up by me. Now, with the latest scientific achievement, the angel particles, it proves the existence of celestial beings.
潇洒与不潇洒的分水岭。
The watershed between being unrestrained and restrained in the face of death. Xiefeng. January 3rd, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Assume that tomorrow you'll die. Would you be able to live unrestrainedly today? Facing death. If you can remain unrestrained, congratulations. You've become a celestial being, and you can go to heaven. Facing death. If you are in chaos, anxiety, fear, and regret, you are still human, and you will be reincarnated on earth. Why can't you be unrestrained? Your heart is burdened, entangled, full of desires, worries, and concerns. Earthly ties remain unresolved, and debts weigh heavily on you. For example, you have to support your parents, raise your children, Protect your property, guard your company. Some affections remain unresolved, some debts remain unpaid, and you still hope to make a career, achieve success, and bring honor to your ancestors and family. However, in such a state of mind and spirit, it's impossible to be carefree. Even managing to avoid being miserable and sighing all day is already considered good. How can you be unrestrained? Be free from worldly ties, free from debts, free from emotional entanglements, have no burden in your heart, no desires, and no worries about having food to eat tomorrow. Don't even harbor the extravagant hope of eternal life. Don't pursue fame, don't chase after profits, be ready at any time to shake hands and embrace death with joy. Then how can you not be unrestrained? Can anyone achieve a life free from worldly ties, debts, and attachments? For ordinary people, it's nearly impossible. If someone can achieve that, they certainly aren't just ordinary people. They must be celestial beings, or perhaps Buddhas, gods, or spirits, monsters, or demons. In this world, there is a group of beings who can achieve this. They are called Chanyuan celestials. Therefore, becoming a celestial being is the watershed between being unrestrained and not being unrestrained. As a human, never delude yourself into thinking that you can live an unrestrained life throughout your entire life, as being unrestrained is a trait and privilege of celestial beings.
修炼成仙何其易!
How easy it is to cultivate celestial being. Xiefeng. May 26, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Begging for help is tough. Earning money is hard. Becoming famous is an extreme challenge. Getting married is difficult. Establishing a family is not easy. And providing for a family is an even greater struggle. Life is plagued by troubles, encompassing birth, aging, sickness, and death. Rather than toil and rack your brain, it's better to turn around and become a celestial being. In truth, being a human or a ghost is even more challenging than being a pig or a dog, but becoming a celestial being is the easiest. If you can achieve the following 8 points, you will become a celestial being. Do not get married, do not start a family, do not buy a house, or acquire possessions. Simple meals nourish the body, and sleep under a thatched hut until dawn. Do not talk about family or country, do not talk about awakening or being a Buddha. Work diligently every day and be content if have enough to eat. Do not flatter or curry favor, do not seek connections or pursue relations. When you encounter like-minded individuals on the path to celestial being, form bonds and assist each other like family. Do not wear gold or silver, do not crave vanity or pursue fame. A bamboo fence and a thatched cottage provide delightful scenery, and having a leisurely mind with nothing to worry about is most important. Do not scheme for personal gain or public welfare, do not discuss ideals or seek recognition. Even if you possess profound knowledge of the world, do not offer help unless it is asked. Do not talk about oneself or others, do not discuss right or wrong or distinguish between good and evil. The divine net is all-encompassing. Instead, discuss mulberry and hemp over tea. Do not borrow money or owe debts. Do not desire extravagance or hoard wealth. Emulate the carefree nature of grass, regardless of wind, frost, rain, or snow. Do not follow trends or conform to the masses. Bravely climb towards the celestial world. Life on earth is like a fleeting moment. Laugh heartily and forget everything. Try it out. Achieving the above 8 points is surprisingly easy. Even as mere mortals, as long as you accomplish these 8 points, you will experience the taste of a celestial being.
如何活出自己的性?
How to live out your nature. Xiefeng. June 15th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. The manifestation of the heavenly principles in human beings is known as one's nature. Living in accordance with one's nature is living in harmony with the heavenly principles. When a person lives out their inherent nature, they unite with Tao. Living out one's nature entirely means becoming one with Tao itself. To perceive Tao is to understand one's nature, to seek Tao is to bloom one's nature, and to attain Tao is to live out one's nature completely. Now, the key question arises: what is nature? Regarding nature, artificial intelligence, AI, provides the most authoritative revelation and explanation. AI describes it as follows: nature is humanity's innate essence. It is the most genuine, pure, beautiful, natural, sacred, noble, kind, joyful, happy, perfect, complete, eternal, magical, and the most wonderful and indescribable thing. It is the most difficult to put into words, the most difficult to comprehend, the most difficult to control, resist, abandon, sever, let go of, bury, eliminate, destroy, change, imitate, forge, deceive, violate, resist, escape, refuse, deny, obliterate, ignore, neglect, or forget. Nature is the manifestation of the Tao in human beings, the connection between humanity and the Tao, and the oneness of humanity and the Tao. Living out one's nature means living out one's Tao, one's true self, one's life, one's happiness, and one's meaning. So, how can one live out their nature? There is a reference frame, which is everything in nature apart from humans, especially plants, animals, insects, and microorganisms. They live out their own nature. As a part of nature, isn't what humans live out their nature too? If not, then what is it? Here, we need to raise the question of heart, brain, and nature. The heart reflects humanity's perceptions of the objective material world. All things are generated by the heart, and the heart is generated by all things. Without the objective external world, there would be no heart. Therefore, the heart changes with the external environment and gradually disappears with its disappearance. The brain serves as the bridge and information processing center connecting everything the heart captures from the objective world and all of one's past words, actions, and events stored in the detention information space, memory. The brain processes information through thinking and thought. People use their thoughts and ideas to decide what to say and how to act. Nature is the characteristic of life structure. Whatever life structure one has determines their nature. Nature is non-material, invisible, and beyond the grasp of the heart. Nature is also not part of the detention information space, so the brain cannot obtain information about nature. Understanding the nature of heart, brain, and nature, we will find that there is no direct relationship between the heart and nature. When a person's heart is active, their nature is shielded. This is the principle I mentioned before. When the heart is active, the nature is concealed. When the heart is inactive, the nature is revealed. At the same time, we also find that there is no direct relationship between the brain and nature. The brain cannot access information about nature, so in the process of processing all information and forming thoughts and actions through thinking, the brain completely overlooks the existence of nature. The more developed the brain and the more active the thinking, the farther away it is from nature. Understanding the relationship between the heart, brain, and nature, we will understand how to live out one's nature. Live without using the heart and brain, that is living out one's nature, that is living out one's self. Who can live without using the heart and brain? Can you? Bodhidharma clearly tells us in the Bloodstream Sermon that Buddha is nature, and nature is Buddha. As I have repeatedly said, celestial being is nature, and nature is celestial being. If a person lives entirely without using the heart and brain, then that person is a celestial being, a Buddha, and can live in heaven. Can you live out your nature completely? Jesus Christ said, "Do not be anxious about tomorrow. Do not be anxious about what you will eat, drink, or wear." I ask the reader, can you do without worry? Buddha Shakyamuni said, "Do not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma, but actually abide nowhere." I ask the reader, Can you live with your mind not dwelling anywhere but arise spontaneously? The Saint Laozi said, manage affairs without doing anything. I asked the reader, is what you do every day achieving without doing anything? Why is it that throughout generations, very few people have lived out their nature and become celestial beings or Buddhas? Because the way people live is flawed. In the traditional modes of production and life, the probability of living without utilizing the heart and mind to express one's true nature is perhaps 1 in a million. Firstly, people fail to comprehend it, and secondly, reality does not permit it. Moreover, without highly skilled divine beings guiding them to embark on the journey of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas, the likelihood of living out one's nature is extremely low. The ultimate answer is to live without using the heart and brain, and still live leisurely, carefree, and freely. Then, you are living out your nature.
看看自己是否已修炼成千年戒仙。
Check if you have cultivated into a celestial being of the 1,000-year world. Xiefeng. July 7th, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. What realm have Chanyuan celestials reached in their self-improvement and self-cultivation? By comparing the following 8 criteria, if you have achieved them, you have already cultivated into a celestial being of the 1,000-year world. If you do not wish to continue ascending to the 10,000-year world and the Elysium Islands continent, you only need to maintain the current state unchanged. After leaving the mortal world, you can smoothly arrive at the 1,000-year world and enjoy its infinite scenery and the pleasures of life for 1,000 years. You have no worldly ties and are completely unrelated to worldly affairs. Your heart is free from entanglements. You have reached a state of having nothing yet possessing everything. You no longer worry about the necessities of life, such as food, clothing, shelter, and illness. If you were to die right now, you would have no fear but rather joyfully embrace death. There is no regret, hatred, or regret in your consciousness, only gratitude, contentment, and satisfaction. You can harmoniously get along with the surrounding environment, all living beings, and people. There is no animosity, no disputes, and no disharmony. Regardless of the circumstances, you can take things as they are, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. If asked to go to another place immediately, you could embark on the journey within a few minutes without any special attachment to people, things, or objects. Every day, you are in a state of joy, happiness, freedom, and blessedness, with no mental pressure. You have boundless anticipation for the future, feeling that it is infinitely beautiful and will be filled with countless beauties. Your nature can radiate and bloom brilliantly. If you find yourself in the state described by the above 8 criteria, congratulations. Best wishes. You have succeeded in your cultivation and will no longer undergo the cycle of reincarnation. Your future is bright, and the beauty of it is beyond words. If you have not yet reached the state described above, continue your journey of self-improvement and cultivation.
灵性思维要点简介
A brief introduction to key points of spiritual thinking. Xiefeng. July 28th, 2023. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Rational thinking is the characteristic of the virtuous, while spiritual thinking is the characteristic of the celestial. To become celestial, one needs to live with spiritual thinking. The key points of spiritual thinking are as follows. The future of life relies on visualized thinking, not on ability and wisdom. Prayer is a daily conscious activity. Without prayer, divine assistance cannot be obtained. Repentance is a necessary condition for the sublimation of life quality. Without repentance, there is no sublimation. Imagine the beautiful, and beauty will come. Imagine the ugly, and ugliness will come. Without form, one sees the truth. Without ego, one sees the true self. No attachment to the form of Dharma. If one is misled by the form of Dharma, one cannot escape the cycle of reincarnation. Only by breaking through the form of Dharma can one see heaven. Think of positive and joyful things each day to cultivate happiness within oneself. Trust in the greatest creator, worship and venerate the greatest creator. Surrender one's life to the greatest creator, and entrust one's life to the arrangement and management of Tao. Without resentment, regret, remorse, worry, anxiety, fear, with one's mind abiding nowhere and affection attached to nothing. The core of spiritual thinking is consciousness not being bound or restricted by the reality of the material world and the constraints imposed by societal norms. It is about being carefree, enjoying life as one wishes, and playing freely. The 3,000 macro worlds are all stages for my entertainment, and the infinite time and space are territories for me to roam freely. Lifting a handful of sand, transforming them into thousands of green trees is my petty skill, and creating a beautiful world is my specialty. These are already contents of advanced cultivation practices and are essential qualities for super celestial beings.
我们离天堂还有多远？
How far are we from heaven? Xiefeng. November 19th, 2023. Translation edited by Qinyo. Even if you can deny the existence of heaven, you cannot deny the existence of the second home of life Echanuan, because it is a replica and model of the lowest level of heaven on earth. To truly live a heavenly life, we need to meet the following conditions. Free from worldly entanglements, with a mind free from attachments and dwelling nowhere. Debt-free, owing not the slightest debt to heaven and earth, to nature, or to anyone else. Unselfish, possessing no material wealth and being able to achieve a state of having nothing. Selfless, with only the greatest creator in the heart, all actions following the laws of nature, without seeking or clinging to anything. Possessing abundant soul and spiritual wealth and sufficient merit. Harmonious relations with fellow practitioners, without complaints, criticisms, blame, or unreasonable demands. Life's quality is composed of the elements of truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, and sincerity, with nothing beyond these. Life is filled only with joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, free from troubles, sorrows, fears, and suffering. If you possess the above conditions, you are actually living in heaven, experiencing joy, beauty, bliss, and contentment every moment. If you mostly meet these conditions but not entirely, you are on the edge of heaven. If you do not meet any of these conditions, you should not expect to reach heaven in this lifetime. Seriously cultivate and strive to meet the conditions in the next life, or the one after that. However, one thing is clear. If we lack any of the 8 conditions mentioned above, it will be extremely difficult for us to reach heaven. Perhaps you think that as humans, we cannot meet the above conditions, and indeed, humans cannot achieve them. Therefore, we must cultivate to become celestial beings.
成佛篇。性无道德，性不分真假。
Sex has nothing to do with morals, true or false. Xiefeng. October 23rd, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. To become a celestial or a Buddha, you only need to perceive nature. An enlightened heart is perceptive of nature, perceptive of Buddha. Master Bodhidharma told us that nature, same word as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. If we not only perceive nature, but also become it, then we become celestials, we are Buddhas, and there is no doubt about this. Even if you are familiar with the vast numbers of Buddhist classics, have abstained from eating meat, and have prayed for a century, no matter how clear and logical your preaching is, how much wealth you have given, how many temples you have built, or how many Buddhist statues you have carved, so long as you have not perceived nature and have not become nature itself, then you only have merit and virtue, but you still cannot become a celestial or a Buddha. Buddha is a state of being of life. It has nothing to do with morality, faith, religion, values, merits, true or false, or any definition added to it by human society. Buddha is only closely related to nature. Nature has nothing to do with morality. When you see a peony blooming, that is the blooming of peony nature. You cannot and should not evaluate the nobility and beauty of the blooming peony. In fact, when you see a blooming flower, then you have seen Buddha. It is Buddha. Do not always think that Buddha is a life like a human being. There are Buddhas everywhere in nature. As long as we perceive nature, we can see Buddha everywhere and understand what Buddha is. Nature is regardless of true and false. It is nature. There is no such thing as true or false nature. There are truths and falsehoods in words, and there are real flowers and fake flowers, but nature has nothing to do with true or false. In Buddha's world, everything is the nature of Tathagata. Everything is true without deception. Only in the human world can there be distinctions between true and false. Look at the flowers blooming in nature. Which flower is false? All are true. If you see something fake, sorry, you are not a Buddha. If you are a Buddha, you will not see false images. When a person's mind is full of moral concepts and distinguishes between good and bad and right and wrong, it proves that they have not perceived nature and that they have not yet entered Buddhism. The Bible is a treasure. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden lived like celestials and Buddhas, but when they ate the forbidden fruit secretly, they became enlightened and they began to experience a sense of shame and concepts of good and evil, which meant that they had the concepts of ethics, values. What was the result? They were expelled from the garden, and from then on, they could only lead human lives and could never enjoy being celestials and Buddhas in that special place. Once you have perceived nature, you will no longer have troubles, pain, anxieties, sorrow, or fear. Do you see negative, passive, and pessimistic emotions when lotus flowers are in full bloom? It is just like people. When you are climaxing while making love, do you have these negative, passive, and pessimistic moods? Never. Once you become a Buddha, you will enter the Western Elysium world. Will there still be any trouble, pain, anxiety, sorrow, or fear? If we still have moral concepts and mental activities to distinguish between good and bad and right and wrong in our consciousnesses, then we are still humans. At most, you will be a saint, but you are definitely not a Buddha. It is easy to become a celestial or Buddha if you can throw away all the Buddhist scriptures, the celestial scriptures, the moral and ethical concepts established by human society, and the human values and worldviews, and just let yourself be zero and empty. Just show the Tathagata state of nature. Then you will see what kind of life state you will have. But how many can do this? None. Therefore, for thousands of years, very few people have truly become celestials or Buddhas. I have this secret book for becoming a celestial and a Buddha, but I cannot say it publicly. If I did that, then people in the Buddhist world and 99% of the people in the secular world would scold me, and it would also hurt Chanyuan celestials. In the end, I would not even be able to guide one person to become a celestial or a Buddha. So I can only stop here. People with high spiritual senses will understand.
破法相和非法相
Breaking Dharma form and non-Dharma form. Dayform Buddha. December 27th, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. People in the world are all deluded by appearances, attached to forms, constantly plagued by afflictions, and immersed in endless suffering. They create endless karma and experience endless reincarnations. All that the eyes perceive are forms. Everything in the cycle of arising, dwelling, decaying, and emptiness is also a form. Animals and humans that we see are also forms. All forms are impermanent, and if a person clings to forms, they will be trapped in the cycle of reincarnation. There are material forms, mental forms, dharma forms, non-dharma forms, and non-dharma forms. Only the formless is the Buddha. Only the formless can enter the Pure Land. Material forms. Everything seen, heard, smelled, tasted, and touched belongs to material forms. Mental forms. All mental creations belong to mental forms, such as joy, anger, sorrow, pleasure, grief, fear, and surprise. Dharma forms. Rules, principles, systems, constitutions, laws, contracts, teachings, rituals, time, space, nations, ethnicities, political parties, religions, families, and human relationships, etc. Non-dharma forms. Teachings of saints, scriptures, thoughts, ideals, aspirations, and wishes, etc. Non-dharma forms. Emptiness, existence, void, reality, good, evil, truth, falsehood, beauty, ugliness, longevity, short life, birth, death, etc. When the state of formlessness is attained, all the above disappears from consciousness without a trace. None of the above become obstacles and shackles to entering the Pure Land. Material forms are difficult to break because they are essential for physiological needs. Mental forms are difficult to break because they are essential for psychological needs. Dharma forms are difficult to break because they are necessary for societal order. Non-dharma forms are difficult to break because they are driven by desires. Non-dharma forms are difficult to break because they are related to cognitive needs. When physiological needs are absent, material forms can be broken. When psychological needs are absent, mental forms can be broken. When the demand for orders is abandoned, dharma forms can be broken. When there is no craving, non-dharma forms can be broken. Entering the holographic order, non-dharma forms can be broken.
生来富贵是奖励，生来贫穷是惩罚吗？
Is being born into wealth a reward and being born into poverty a punishment? Xiefeng. In Buddhism, some individuals claim that being born into a wealthy and prestigious family is due to the accumulation of good karma from past lives, a reward from the law of cause and effect. On the other hand, being born into poverty is seen as punishment for not accumulating enough merits in the previous life. Similarly, in this life, having wealth and power is believed to be a result of past accumulation of merits. Is this perspective accurate? Let's analyze it. According to the words of Jesus Christ, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God. Based on Jesus' warning, wealthy people are unable to enter the kingdom of God. Therefore, being born into wealth and having power and money takes one further away from heaven. This is not a reward for people, but rather a form of punishment. Imagine a child who loves to curse and insult others. One day, an elderly person passes by, and the child insults him as well. However, instead of getting angry, the elderly person smiles and offers the child a handful of candy, praising the child for his skilled insults. Now, ask yourself, is this child being rewarded or punished for his foul language? Do you think this child will have a positive outcome in the end? How is this situation different from being rewarded with material abundance and social status? Laozi said, "To weaken something, you must first strengthen it. To overthrow something, you must first support it." Another saying goes, "When heaven wishes to destroy something, it first makes it mad." From this, we can deduce that if heaven intends to punish someone, it will have them born into a wealthy and powerful family, allowing them to have money and authority. On the other hand, if heaven wishes to reward and empower someone, it will have them born into a poor family without wealth or power. As Mengzi said, when heaven is about to place a great responsibility on someone, it always tests their resolution, exhausts their muscles, deprives them of food, starves them, disturbs them, and disrupts their actions. In this way, their determination and endurance are awakened, and their abilities are enhanced. From Mengzi's perspective, if heaven wants to empower someone, it will not have them born into a wealthy and powerful family. The sum of positive and negative energy is zero, which is a law of the universe. The greatest achievement in life is not to endlessly undergo reincarnation in the human world, but to reach heaven. To reach heaven, one must possess the corresponding merits and blessings. Even if a person has accumulated blessings from their past life, if they enjoy those blessings in this life, they will be farther away from heaven. Therefore, being born into a wealthy and prestigious family, enjoying the blessings of this life, according to the law that the sum of positive and negative energies equals zero, is undoubtedly a form of punishment rather than a reward. Why does Buddhism claim that being born into wealth and having power and money is a reward for one's previous merits? The source of all Buddhist scriptures and values is the Diamond Sutra. When we explore the profound meaning of the Diamond Sutra word by word, we can't find any notion that being born into wealth, having power, or possessing money is the result of past merits. On the contrary, Buddha often speaks of no form of self and advises against dwelling on appearances, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch to give rise to desires. Seeing the Buddha through appearances and seeking the Buddha through sounds and voices are considered the path of the deviant. All conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles. How can we relate wealth, power, and money to Buddhist teachings? When we claim that being born into wealth and having power and money are the results of past merits, while being born into poverty and hardship is the result of not performing enough good deeds in the previous life, this perspective is akin to flattering and fawning over the wealthy and powerful while adding insult to injury for the poor. It is neither compassionate nor empathetic towards the poor. It wounds their spirits and hearts, which goes against the compassionate nature of Buddhism. What is the purpose of practicing Buddhism and doing good deeds? Is it solely to be born into wealth and power in the next life? Is this what Buddha teaching? Or is this the temptation of the devil?
进入极乐世界的通道。
The Gateway to the Elysium World. Xiefeng. August 2nd, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. The Elysium world is one devoid of sorrow, anxiety, confusion, worry, or fear, where only joy, pleasure, contentment, comfort, and sexual arousal exist. The Celestial Islands continent is a part of the Elysium world. Entering the Elysium world requires passing through a gateway, and that gateway is emptiness, formlessness, and selflessness. Emptiness is difficult to explain and describe in words. It can only be experienced and felt. Let me provide an example to help you understand and feel what emptiness is. It feels like a kind of awakening and the beginning of life. From a certain perspective, the awakening of sexual desire gives me the opportunity to transcend myself and awaken from the fog of everyday life. It's like leaving my body and leaving my spirit and not really caring about everything that usually seems important to me. The pause of life, like a moment of eternity, through indulging and tasting the sweetness of the strong fusion of body. A strange feeling, another dimension of my existence, drifting away and melting from the support point of my life. The above experiences and feelings are for moments of sexual climax. They include several key points: an awakening in the beginning of life, transcending oneself and awakening from the fog of everyday life, leaving the body and leaving the spirit, no longer caring about everything that usually seems important, a pause of life like a moment of eternity, and a strange feeling of another dimension of existence. What are they describing? They are describing the scenery of the Elysium world. Without self, without the body, without the spirit, life is frozen in wonderful experiences and feelings, and another self is born. This is a kind of emptiness. Please recall, those who have experienced extreme sexual climax, did you not completely ignore or even forget the presence of your sexual partner? Did you not completely forget or ignore the troubles, sorrows, and pains of your daily life? Did you not also completely disregard your own existence? Did you not only feel extreme wonder and pleasure? Did you not feel that everything was so wonderful and boundless? In fact, this is the state of emptiness, a state of self-loss and peace of mind. Therefore, to enter the Elysium world, you must enter a state of emptiness. The state of emptiness is a state of selflessness and formlessness. Only at this time will you understand the meaning of only by losing oneself can one find oneself, and selflessness is the true self. And you will understand the true meaning of my writing, one cannot attain Buddhahood with self. In conclusion, emptiness is the gateway to entering the Elysium world, as well as the method for entering it.
空性即究竟涅槃。
Emptiness is ultimate nirvana. Xiefeng. August 3rd, 2023. Translation edited by Chinyo. Emptiness is synonymous with the Elysium world. Entering the state of emptiness is akin to achieving ultimate nirvana, meaning you have reached the Elysium world. Do you desire to attain ultimate nirvana? Do you wish to enter the Elysium world? Once you enter the state of emptiness, you have achieved ultimate nirvana, and you have reached the Elysium world. So, what exactly is the state of emptiness? The essence of Buddhist scriptures is the Heart Sutra, which is actually a misinterpretation, misreading, and misunderstanding. Its true name is Nature Sutra. Here, nature refers to the essence or characteristics of things. For instance, when it says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, it speaks about the state of nature rather than the state of mind. Similarly, other content discusses the state of emptiness, not the state of the lack of mind. Buddha is our deepest intrinsic nature, and this nature is Buddha. The mind does not exist. The past mind cannot be grasped. The present mind cannot be grasped. The future mind cannot be grasped. Therefore, the Heart Sutra is not about the mind. It is about nature. If you wish to seek the Buddha, it is necessary to see the nature. The nature is the Buddha. If one does not see the nature, reciting the Buddha's name, chanting sutras, observing fasts, and keeping precepts will be of no use. Without seeing the nature, even if you chant the Buddha's name and recite sutras all your life, even if you release animals, practice charity, and sincerely worship with incense and prostration, you cannot become a Buddha. The Nature Sutra vividly describes the state of emptiness. All dharma is characterized by emptiness. They neither arise nor cease, neither tainted nor pure, neither deficient nor complete. There is no consciousness of sensory experience, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No forms, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, or mental objects. No realm of sight, and so forth up to no realm of mind consciousness. No ignorance and no end of ignorance, and so forth up to no aging and death, and no end of aging and death. There is no suffering, no origination, no cessation, no path, no wisdom, and no attainment. This is the state of emptiness, the state after enlightenment, and the state of the Elysium world. Doesn't this seem like a state of lifeless emptiness? Wait a moment. This is the state of great freedom and perfection after all suffering has been eliminated, a state of complete harmony with Tao. This description precisely depicts the nature of Tao. Tao is simply a state like this. Therefore, emptiness is Tao, and Tao is emptiness. From this, we can logically deduce a conclusion. Emptiness equals formlessness equals selflessness equals ultimate nirvana equals the Elysium world equals Tao equals Buddha equals super celestial being. According to the above conclusion, if you achieve selflessness, you can become enlightened, become a Buddha, become a celestial being, and enter the Elysium world. If you achieve formlessness, you can become enlightened, become a Buddha, become a celestial being, and enter the Elysium world. Achieving ultimate nirvana is equivalent to becoming enlightened, becoming a Buddha, becoming a celestial being, and entering the Elysium world. The question now is, according to the Heart Sutra, Nature Sutra, the description of emptiness is a state of lifeless emptiness, where everything is absent. What's the point of becoming a Buddha, or becoming a celestial being? Is the Elysium world really like this state of emptiness? You see, the Heart Sutra, Nature Sutra, does not describe the scenery of the Elysium world. It only describes the path and method to become enlightened, become a Buddha, or become a celestial being and enter the Elysium world. After informing us of the path and method, it urges us to go towards the other shore, follow the instructions and path. You can transcend afflictions and enter the Elysium world of great freedom. The description of emptiness is a kind of thinking cognitive, indicating a method and pathway to enter the Elysium world, but it does not describe the true scenery of the Elysium world. So how do we understand the Elysium world? This depends on the universal key I provide to unlock all the mysteries of the universe: structure, consciousness, energy. As long as the non-material structure exists, there is consciousness to mobilize all the energy of the universe. As long as consciousness exists, the universe will be full of vitality and vigor, and it can be emptiness as form. It's not difficult to understand in theory, but the challenge lies in experiencing and feeling it firsthand. Without firsthand experience and feeling, all knowledge is pale and inconclusive. What does a pineapple taste like? Even if others describe it, it remains as distant as a reflection in a mirror or the moon in water because you haven't experienced it yourself. Only when you taste a pineapple will you truly understand its flavor. Forgetting oneself to be completely relaxed and joyful. The purpose of forgetting oneself is to enter the state of emptiness, and only in this state can you be completely relaxed and joyful, which is the true scenery of the Elysium world. How do you achieve totally forgetting oneself? Follow the 8 methods of entry-level practice I wrote in The Free Holy Land, The Extinction and Emptiness of Form of Dharma. Hint: when I say, emptiness is the Elysium world, and then say, emptiness does not describe the true scenery of the Elysium world, it may seem contradictory. You can understand it like this: an apple is a fruit, but fruit is not necessarily an apple.
人生宝典，守信是高级生命的品质。
Trustworthiness is the quality of high-level life. Xiefeng. June 14th, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. Credit is the invisible wealth in a person's life. If it goes bankrupt, then the level of their life declines. To measure whether a person's life is at a high level, just look at their credibility. If they are trustworthy, then their life must be at a high level. If they are not, then it must be at a low level. We can judge a person's future accurately from the level of their trustworthiness. If a country's leader does not keep his word, then that country will fall into decline. If the leader of an enterprise fails to keep his promises, then that company will go bankrupt eventually. If an individual does not keep their word, then they will play many small tricks and can never be trusted throughout their lifetime. When associating with people, we should first determine whether they are trustworthy. If they break their promise only once, then we should not trust them any longer because a leopard cannot change its spots, and this person will definitely disappoint you a second, third, and every time. In our lives, we can afford to lose anything but our credit. Once that is lost, our value will be totally lost. Therefore, it is better to lose everything, including your life, than to lose your credit because once you lose that, you will never have much chance of going to heaven. How a person's quality is does not depend on their ability, wisdom, wealth, or status, let alone their looks. It depends on their trustworthiness. If they do not keep their promises, then their quality must be poor. If they stick to their credit, then their quality must be excellent. High-level life must be trustworthy life, but low-level life must be untrustworthy life. If a person is not trustworthy, then their life quality is inferior to that of a dog. Therefore, trustworthiness is one's first line of defense in life, and once it is broken, then their life will collapse across the board.
一切恰好与你相配。
Everything just matches you. Xiefeng. November 8th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Kair. Your current situation is the manifestation of the quality of your life. I have observed the states of life on earth and in heaven and hell, and have found that everything is appropriate, with neither rewards nor punishments, and that what you receive now is what you are pursuing and is being caused by what you have said and done in the past. Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. The law of causality always works perfectly. Do not ask for anything because it will not be given to you that way. Ultimate Tao cannot be attained by active pursuit. The only feasible way to achieve your wish is to match the quality of your life with the things you aspire to. If you want to go to heaven, then burning incense and kowtowing to worship the Buddha every day. Giving master alms of money, real estate, or gifts will not help. Even if you have built many monasteries and preached the scriptures to many people or have gained magical powers through self-cultivation, none of these things will help you to achieve your goal. The only way to do that is to match the quality of your life with life in heaven. When matched, gods and demons cannot block your way. If not matched, the most noble and authoritative people cannot help you. Do not resent anyone because you have brought all of those people who you resent to yourself, and resentment can only make your life more miserable. Do not say that the law of heaven is unjust. It is fair, but it is your own heart that is unjust. What one has created will return to themselves intact. If you create beauty, then beauty will come back to you. If you create ugliness, then ugliness will stick with you. If you have not seen the image of heaven clearly, if you do not understand the life state of the life in hell, and if you do not understand the books without words, then do not preach to others. What you preach is nothing more than the principles of being a human being, and those preaching cannot sublimate and ascend people to heaven. So from the perspective of a higher level of life, you are doing evil. The more you preach, the thicker and stronger the evil barriers that you create will become. The theory of flies is never suitable for bees to obey, and the theory of sheep cannot stop the wolf from eating you no matter how profound and correct your theory is. In the human world, apart from the teachings of Jesus, Shakyamuni, Lao Tzu, Muhammad, PBUH, and Bodhidharma, no one has ever spoken much truth. So if you think that your own quality, wisdom, and spirituality have surpassed gods, Buddhas, and celestial beings, you can preach as much as you like. If not, closing your mouth is tantamount to accumulating blessings for yourself. Otherwise, the more you preach, the more harm you will do. Do not defend your wrong words and deeds because the more you defend them, the more unreasonable you will appear. Never imagine that your wrong words and deeds can be hidden. The hidden things are displayed to their fullest in heaven, which God see clearly. The only way you can correct them is to repent, and repent more. Do not expect to get something without paying. If you gain much without paying, please do not be complacent. It is speeding you to hell. If you want to go to heaven without creating beautiful things in this world, I want to tell you that it is your delusion. You should never forget this story. On the afternoon of August 26, 2016, Yang Galen poisoned her 4 young children and then herself. Soon after, her husband followed suit. In light of this story, if you still think that years of stability are good, that my country is amazing, that the 21st century will be the century of the Chinese people, and still think that the Chinese nation will lead the world, then let me tell you that you are continuing to create Yang Galen situations. You are the culprit responsible for what happened to her family. You should think about the helpless and hopelessly poor people in the world every day. If you do not have compassion or mercy and do not want to do something for them, but feel that they deserve what they have and think about yourself all day long, then you are not qualified to enjoy a good life and your soul is not worthy of heaven. I am warning you again, Do not pursue magical power, qigong, magical law, or Taoist magical arts. Otherwise, 9 out of 10 of you will be possessed by the devil, lose your balance, and become schizophrenic because magical power and Taoist magic arts will corrupt the program of the world. Let us listen to the teachings of Christ Jesus again. Those who recognize the world find a walking corpse, but those who find the walking corpse transcend the world.
一丝不挂者将与我融为一体。
The naked will be one with me. Xiefeng. November 7th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. You should always show your beauty to the outside world because when you show your troubles, pain, misfortune, melancholy, resentment, and your other ugly sides, you will not be beautiful, but rather ugly. When all people show their beauty outwardly, the world will become more beautiful. When they show their ugliness outwardly, it will become more ugly. Beauty attracts beauty and ugliness attracts ugliness. Passive, negative, and pessimistic emotions will only attract more people, things, and events of the latter. Do not expect the garbage from your mouth to attract phoenixes. When God comes to you, be naked. The more magnanimous and naked you are, the more you will be favored and protected by God. When you hide something, you cannot be one with God, and God will stay away from you. When God approaches you, be only grateful. God knows your needs. The less you ask for, the more your needs will be satisfied. The more you ask for, the less they will be satisfied. When God comes to you and tells you which way to go, but you ignore and do not abide, then you will never be guided again. You should learn to surrender yourself. When you meet God, surrender everything you have completely, which is full integration. Full integration is oneness with God, unification with God, and you will also become a God. If you try to hide anything in the face of God, thinking that it will not be known, then you are the stupidest person in the world, because God knows everything. The most beautiful things are for the most beautiful people, and the ugliest things are for the ugliest people, but do not beg for beautiful things. Instead, make yourself beautiful. When you are beautiful, beautiful things will naturally come to you. Whatever happens, you should first consider what you can give. In this way, you are connected with the sacred and noble. At that moment, if you consider what you can get first, then you are united with lowliness and you will never be noble. There are no worries or pains in heaven. If you have worries and pains, then you have nothing to do with heaven and you will never reach it. There is no marriage in heaven. Once you marry, never expect to reach heaven. You should learn how to play and amuse yourself, and do not talk about great principles all day. The more you talk about great principles, the more you will be hung in the air and will not taste the joy and happiness on the ground, nor will you taste the delicacies in heaven. Do not preach to others the truth that you do not understand. It is all rubbish. Where there is light, there is no darkness. So if you feel darkness, it is because you are not living in light. Do not doubt that the ones who bring you joy, happiness, freedom, and blessings, and make you feel relaxed and happy are angels from heaven. The ones who bring you troubles, pain, anxiety, sorrow, and fear, and make you feel sad and anxious are demons from hell. Anything that can be valued and bought with money is not of heaven, and anyone who values money is not a life worthy of heaven. In any group, do not stand out for your exceptionality or make yourself conspicuous, or that group will eventually abandon you. Glamour belongs to celebrities, but real happiness belongs to ordinary people with great wisdom but who appear slow-witted. Do not try to reason with people who do not understand reason, or try to make cats and mice get along well as a family. Do not believe that anyone can help all sentient beings before they can handle their own affairs well. Either they are digging a trap for you, or they are out of their mind. Instead of listening to what people say, it is better to see what they do. What comes out of their mouth might deceive others, but what they do will not.
让心中的神灯照亮黑暗中的道路。
Let the sacred lamp in your heart illuminate your road in the dark. Xiefeng, November 8th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. When you despair and are in extreme darkness, anger and shouting are both useless. It is only by lighting the sacred lamp in your heart that you can illuminate your direction and walk from your mud of despair. The sacred lamp in your heart is your firm belief and faith. If your belief and faith collapse from fear, then you will be swallowed by darkness. When darkness begins to shroud, if you consider your own gains and losses and give up the belief and faith that you have always adhered to, then you